Hello Clock House, today's the 17th of December and I'm going to read you the next part of our story. I hope you're sitting comfortably and ready to go. So the chapter is A Very Old Song. Winston shook his head to make sure that his ears were completely clear of ice and snow before asking Lytton's grandmother to repeat what she'd just said. "I think," she said again in her deep, gentle voice, "that you might have been born in the North Pole." Winston couldn't believe it. He bubbled with questions. How? When? What? Morma laughed, enjoying his giddy enthusiasm. She told him to sit down beside her and she would try to explain. "I'm afraid I can't remember what all the words mean. It's been a very long time since I heard that song," she said, "but I know it mentions the North Star. It's that bright one there above us." Winston looked. Among all the other twinkling lights in the sky, one star shone the brightest. As he looked at it, that strange feeling in his chest appeared again, aching, but also now excited. He felt as if at least a little bit of the missing puzzle piece was slotting into place. He was from the North Pole. That's where he'd been born. Another wisp of memory floated through his head. He'd looked up at the star before, but that was a long time ago, and he'd been looking at it through a window. "It's a very old song, and a beautiful one too. Whoever sang it to you must have loved you very much," continued Morma. Winston nodded his head. He knew this was true. He could feel it in his heart. Despite the chill, a growing warmth was radiating from within him. He didn't know how all the other clues fitted. The rustling paper, the cooking smells, the scent of peppermint, but he knew without a doubt now that the North Pole held the answers. "I need to get there," he said. "Hilda, do you think you'd be able to take me?" Hilda looked down at her wing. It was really feeling sore indeed. "I don't think the wind is up to it tonight, old chum," she said sadly. "Let me rest the old flapper tonight and see how it is in the morning." Winston was desperate to leave right away, but he knew that Hilda needed to rest. He didn't want her hurting herself even more than she had done. She'd already been terrifically kind, bringing him all this way, but Winston's heart was drumming in his chest and excitement was fizzing through him from nose to tail. He knew he had to get to the North Pole as soon as possible. Winston thought very hard and suddenly he had an idea, and it was a good one too. "Can't reindeer fly?" he squeaked. "Couldn't one of the herd here fly to the North Pole with me?" But the reindeers shook their heads. "No," said Lytton's father. "Some reindeer fly, but the last one of our herd who could was Morma's great-grandmother, and that was a long, long time ago now. None of us can do it, I'm afraid." Winston was so disappointed that his whiskers drooped. "I think," said Morma kindly, you both need a good night's sleep. You will stay with us for the night, and in the morning we'll all try to think of a plan." And so that was decided. The herd all gathered around and huddled together. Winston and Hilda nestled down in the middle of them amongst their soft, warm, furry bodies, and soon the owl was snoring away. But Winston couldn't sleep. His mind was worrying. He felt, within a whisker of solving his very curious mystery and finding his mum. But it seemed that it would no longer happen. To make it worse, he wouldn't be able to get back to Oliver in time for Christmas either. This made Winston feel very sad indeed. He sighed. The aching in his chest was back again, but this time it was worse than ever. He was miles from both of them and missed them dreadfully. Lying there all alone among the snoring herd, he wondered again how he'd managed to get himself from the North Pole to Mistletoe Street in the first place. It must have been something quite extraordinary that had happened, but how strange that he couldn't remember it. He sighed again. With his eyes prickling and every bit of him feeling crumpled and sad, he curled up into a tiny ball and went to sleep. But it's amazing how quickly things can change. A little while later, Winston woke up. In the darkness, someone was tapping him gently on the belly. He was too sleepy and sad to really open his eyes, so with a yawn he said, "Yes, what is it?" And then a voice whispered in his ear. It was a voice that quivered with excitement. It said, "I've got something very important to tell you." And that's the end of the chapter. I wonder what's going to happen next. I hope you enjoyed our story. See you soon.